He stood at the edge of the hotel's glass entrance, the black card resting between his fingers like a quiet dare. The doorman didn't even glance at it. He waved a hand, brisk, almost annoyed. "Sir, please step aside. VIP guests are arriving." Behind him, an engine purred. A couple in tailored suits emerged from a silver sedan. Laughter, perfume, the kind of welcome that bends the air. Hands reached for their luggage. Voices softened in courtesy. The old man stayed where he was. The black card caught a shard of sunlight sharp against the creases of his hand. No one looked twice. To them it was just a piece of plastic held by someone who didn't belong. In 5 minutes they would wish they had seen more. In 5 minutes they would remember his face, and by then it would be far too late. He crossed the threshold into the marble lobby, each step echoing softly against the polished floor. Without a word he placed the black card on the counter. The receptionist didn't meet his eyes. Her gaze slid down his coat, paused at the worn collar, then at the faint crease in his trousers. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. Not warmth, but recognition of something she thought she understood. "Are you sure?" she asked. Slowly. The words dipped in amusement. "That this card is yours." Around them, a pair of guests glanced over their eyes, flicking between his clothes and the card, then back to each other. One smirked. He didn't answer. He let the silence stretch the card lying between them like a question she would never think to ask. Soon she'd understand why. The answer mattered. Somewhere to his left, 2 employees leaned toward each other, their voices barely more than a breath. Another one playing dress up today and muttered. The other snickered. Eyes still on the screen in front of him. A guest in a leather chair nearby shook his head, speaking loud enough to be overheard. Must have hit the lottery. Spent it all before he could hire a stylist. A ripple of quiet laughter passed between them, the kind meant to disappear before anyone could call it out. The black card stayed where it was, untouched. He didn't look at them, didn't blink, didn't give them the satisfaction of proof or protest. Because the quickest way to feed a crowd is to flinch. And the quickest way to starve them is to let them talk. Their words didn't sting the way they once might have, not after all these years. But they still carried an echo, an old, familiar one. He was 19 again, standing in the corner of a banquet hall, steam rising from his damp sleeves after hours. In the dish pit, a tray of crystal glasses trembled slightly in his hands. The manager spotted him across the room with a single clipped stride. Not you, he said, eyes skimming over the two. Large shirt, the worn shoes. You don't look good enough to stand near our guests. There had been no argument, no defense, just a quiet nod and the slow retreat through the service store. Even now, decades later, the tone was the same. The faces had changed. The judgment hadn't. After the banquet hall door closed behind him, the years moved quickly. Small jobs, longer nights, and one second-hand laptop bought with the tips no one thought he'd earned. The first week it worked fine. The second week it died. He sat in a room no larger than a storage closet lit only by a single desk lamp, prying open its cracked shell with a borrowed screwdriver. Hours passed. Fingers cramped. When the screen finally flickered to life, a line of white text appeared against the black start here. It wasn't a command. It was permission. In that moment, he knew the difference. That flicker, that glow in a silent room, would build the foundation of something vast. A company born from nothing more than stubbornness and the belief that beginnings rarely look like much at all. Raymond Lee, chairman of Ray App Ventures. A man whose signature quietly shifts the fate of 20 hotel chains across 4 continents. That was the truth. The lobby didn't know it. The lobby didn't care. To them, he was just another guest, with creased sleeves and a tired coat. The receptionist still hadn't looked him in the eye. A concierge passing behind her leaned toward a colleague. They say real wealth doesn't need to prove itself, he murmured, smirking. This guy looks like he's trying way too hard. The black card still rested on the counter, unclaimed like a trap no one realized they'd stepped into. Raymond didn't correct them. Truth has no urgency. It waits, and when it arrives, it changes the room before anyone knows it's there. He slid the black card forward again, the edge whispering across the polished counter. This time, the receptionist picked it up, not to run it, but to toy with it. Her fingers turned it over. Once, twice, the way you might examine a trinket from a street stall. We've seen fakes more convincing than this, she said lightly. Her voice dipped in a kind of sweetness that only made the insult sharper. A couple waiting in line pretended not to listen, but their eyes lingered curious. One of them let out a short, quiet laugh.